Do this if someone hurts you. When someone hurts you, it feels like a wound, deep and raw, cutting through your sense of safety, trust, or even self-worth. We've all been there, standing at the crossroads of pain and response. It's tempting to lash out, to carry resentment, or to wall ourselves off. But true power lies not in these reactions, it lies in how we choose to process, understand, and rise above the hurt. Pain is a complex and deeply personal experience, yet it is something every human being encounters at some point in life. When someone hurts you, the immediate reaction is often to resist, suppress, or ignore the pain. It can feel overwhelming, and facing it head-on may seem like the last thing you want to do. However, acknowledging the pain is the crucial first step toward healing and growth. Ignoring it might provide temporary relief, but it ultimately allows the hurt to fester beneath the surface, impacting your well-being in unseen ways. The act of acknowledging your pain is not about dwelling on it or wallowing in self-pity. It's about giving yourself the space to process what has happened and to understand the emotions you are feeling. Many people are taught from a young age to hide their emotions or to equate vulnerability with weakness. This cultural conditioning can lead to a habit of denying pain, pushing it aside, or pretending it doesn't exist. Yet, when you suppress pain, it doesn't disappear, it simply takes root in different forms, manifesting as stress, anxiety, or even physical illness. Acknowledging your pain means allowing yourself to feel it fully. It means sitting with your emotions, no matter how uncomfortable they might be. It involves recognizing that what you are feeling is valid, and that you have every right to feel hurt. This is an act of self-respect and self-compassion. It's about saying to yourself, yes, I am hurting. And that's okay. This simple act of acknowledgement can be incredibly powerful because it shifts your relationship with pain from one of avoidance to one of understanding. When you acknowledge your pain, you also begin to identify its source and the impact it has on you. This process involves introspection and honesty. You might ask yourself questions like, what exactly am I feeling? Is it anger, sadness, betrayal, or a combination of emotions? Why does this hurt me so deeply? These questions help you unpack the layers of your experience. Sometimes the pain you feel may be amplified by past wounds that haven't fully healed. By acknowledging and exploring your current hurt, you might uncover deeper patterns or unresolved issues. This self-awareness is essential for true healing because it allows you to address the root causes rather than just the symptoms. Acknowledging your pain also creates space for empathy, both for yourself and potentially for others. When you sit with your hurt, you begin to understand your emotional landscape better, which can make you more compassionate toward yourself. Instead of criticizing yourself for feeling a certain way or trying to rush through the healing process, you give yourself permission to be human. You allow yourself to grieve, to be angry, or to feel betrayed. This self-compassion is not about indulging in negativity, but about honoring your emotions and giving yourself the care and patience you would offer a close friend. Moreover, when you fully acknowledge your pain, you are less likely to project it onto others. Unacknowledged pain has a way of spilling over into other areas of life. It can affect your relationships, your work, and your overall outlook on life. You might find yourself snapping at loved ones or feeling perpetually on edge. By facing your pain directly, you prevent it from controlling you in these indirect ways. You take back your power. There's also a transformative aspect to acknowledging pain. Once you've faced it and felt it, you can begin to see it not just as something to endure, but as something that can teach you. Pain has a way of revealing truths about ourselves and the world around us. It can show us where we need to set boundaries, what we value most, or where we need to grow. But you can only access these lessons if you are willing to confront the hurt and explore it. Avoidance keeps you stuck, while acknowledgement sets the stage for transformation. Acknowledging pain doesn't mean you have to do it alone. Sometimes the process is too heavy to carry by yourself, and that's okay. Reaching out to trusted friends, family members, or professionals can be part of acknowledging your pain. Sharing your experience with others who understand or who can offer a different perspective can help lighten the load and provide valuable insights. There is strength in seeking support, and doing so is another way of honoring your experience. In today's fast-paced world, there is often an unspoken pressure to move on quickly, to stay strong, or to look on the bright side. While positivity has its place, it should not come at the expense of acknowledging genuine hurt. True healing requires time, patience, and a willingness to confront what is difficult. By acknowledging your pain, you create the foundation for genuine healing and growth. You allow yourself to process the hurt in a healthy way, which ultimately leads to greater resilience and emotional strength. The path to healing begins with this simple yet profound act of acknowledgement. It is the first step toward transforming pain into wisdom, hurt into strength, and wounds into sources of deeper understanding. You honor yourself by facing your pain, and in doing so, you pave the way for a more authentic and empowered life. When someone hurts you, the instinctive reaction is often to retaliate or seek revenge. This impulse is deeply rooted in human nature, an automatic response triggered by the sting of betrayal, disrespect, or harm. It feels like a way to regain control or restore a sense of justice. Yet, despite its seductive allure, retaliation rarely brings the peace or closure one hopes for. Instead, it traps you in a cycle of negativity, deepening the emotional wounds rather than healing them. True strength lies not in lashing out, but in rising above the urge to retaliate. Restraint is not a sign of weakness, but an assertion of power and dignity. It signifies your refusal to let someone else's actions dictate your behavior or define who you are. Retaliation might offer a momentary sense of satisfaction, but it often leads to long-term consequences that can extend far beyond the initial act. It fuels a cycle of hurt and resentment, escalating conflicts rather than resolving them. When you retaliate, you are essentially allowing the person who hurt you to continue controlling your emotions and actions. You may think you are gaining the upper hand, but in reality, you are relinquishing your power. Your response becomes reactive rather than intentional, driven by anger or pain rather than thoughtful consideration. This reaction often leads to more regret, guilt, and self-recrimination. In trying to make someone else suffer, you inadvertently add to your own suffering. Choosing not to retaliate doesn't mean you condone or excuse the behavior that hurt you. It doesn't mean you're weak or passive. On the contrary, it requires immense courage and self-control. It means you are choosing to break the cycle of negativity and rise above the situation. It's a decision to prioritize your peace of mind over temporary satisfaction. By refusing to engage in retaliation, you are setting a boundary that protects your emotional well-being. You are asserting that you will not allow someone else's actions to drag you down to their level. Restraint also allows you to respond from a place of strength and clarity rather than anger. When you take a step back and resist the urge to retaliate, you give yourself the space to process your emotions and gain perspective. This pause is crucial. It prevents you from saying or doing something in the heat of the moment that you might later regret. It allows you to reflect on the situation and decide how best to handle it. This thoughtful response often leads to more effective and constructive solutions. You can address the situation with a clear mind and a steady heart, rather than letting your emotions dictate your actions. Furthermore, by choosing not to retaliate, you are modeling a different way of handling conflict. You are demonstrating to yourself and others that there is another way, a way that prioritizes integrity, respect, and emotional maturity. This choice not only benefits you, but also contributes to a more positive and compassionate environment. It sets an example for others and reinforces your own values. You are showing that strength lies in restraint. That true power comes from maintaining your composure and dignity even in the face of hurt. Retaliation also keeps you emotionally tethered to the person who hurt you. It keeps the wound fresh, the pain alive. By focusing on getting back at them, you are giving them a continued presence in your life and mind. You are allowing their actions to occupy your thoughts and influence your behavior. Choosing not to retaliate is a way of letting go. It's a way of reclaiming your mental and emotional space. It's an act of self-liberation. When you decide to rise above the urge to retaliate, you are choosing to free yourself from the hold they have on you. You are taking back your power and your peace. This approach doesn't mean you have to suppress your feelings or pretend the hurt doesn't exist. It's important to acknowledge your pain and allow yourself to feel it. But instead of letting that pain fuel your actions, you can use it as a catalyst for growth and healing. You can channel that energy into something positive, into understanding yourself better, setting stronger boundaries, or pursuing your goals with renewed focus. Every act of restraint is an opportunity to strengthen your character and deepen your self-awareness. Additionally, choosing not to retaliate opens the door to forgiveness, not necessarily for the other person's benefit, but for your own. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or excusing the hurtful behavior. It means freeing yourself from the burden of anger and resentment. When you let go of the desire for revenge, you create space for healing. You allow yourself to move forward, unencumbered by the weight of past hurts. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. It's a way of saying, I will not let this hurt define me. I will not let it control my life. Ultimately, rising above the urge to retaliate is an act of empowerment. It's a declaration that you are in control of your own emotions and actions. You are not a victim of circumstance, you are the author of your own story. By choosing restraint, you are choosing strength, dignity, and peace. You are choosing to rise above the hurt and to define your own path forward. In doing so, you transform pain into power and adversity into an opportunity for growth. Forgiveness is often misunderstood, yet it remains one of the most powerful and transformative choices we can make, especially when someone hurts us. It's easy to think of forgiveness as condoning or excusing the actions that caused us pain. Some believe it means letting the person who hurt us off the hook or minimizing the impact of their actions. In reality, forgiveness is none of these things. It is not about the other person at all. It is a deeply personal process that serves to free you from the weight of resentment, anger, and bitterness. It is a courageous act of self-liberation, a conscious decision to release the hold that past hurts have on your present and future. When you choose to forgive, you acknowledge the reality of what happened and the pain it caused. This acknowledgement is not about pretending that everything is fine or sweeping your emotions under the rug. Instead, it involves facing the hurt head-on, recognizing the depth of your feelings, and then deciding that you will not allow that pain to control you any longer. Forgiveness is a way of saying, I will not let this experience define me or dictate my happiness. It is a reclaiming of your power, a declaration that you are stronger than the hurt inflicted upon you. Holding on to anger and resentment might feel justified, even necessary. The hurt you experience may be profound, and the idea of letting it go can seem impossible. There's a sense of protection in holding on to these emotions, as if they create a barrier against future pain. However, in reality, holding on to resentment is like carrying a heavy burden that only weighs you down. It keeps the wound open and raw, preventing it from healing. The person who hurt you may not even be aware of the pain they caused, yet you continue to suffer because of the emotional weight you carry. Forgiveness is the process of setting that burden down, of freeing yourself from the chains of bitterness and anger. Forgiving someone does not mean you have to reconcile with them or allow them back into your life. It doesn't mean you have to forget what happened or pretend it didn't hurt. Forgiveness is not about the other person's actions, it's about your response. It's a decision to let go of the emotional hold they have over you. You can forgive someone while still maintaining healthy boundaries and protecting yourself from further harm. In fact, forgiveness often involves recognizing where those boundaries need to be strengthened and honoring your own worth by ensuring you are not put in a position to be hurt again. The process of forgiveness is not always linear or quick. It's often a journey that requires time, reflection, and a willingness to face difficult emotions. There may be moments when you feel like you've forgiven, only for the anger or hurt to resurface later. This is a natural part of the process. Forgiveness is not a one-time event, it is a practice, a commitment you make to yourself. Each time those feelings resurface, you have the opportunity to reaffirm your decision to let go. With each reaffirmation, the hold that resentment has on you weakens, and you move closer to true emotional freedom. Forgiving someone also involves empathy, though this can be one of the most challenging aspects. It requires trying to understand the other person's actions, not to excuse them, but to see them as a flawed human being, much like yourself. This doesn't mean justifying what they did or diminishing the impact of their actions. Instead, it means recognizing that hurt people often hurt others, that the person who caused you pain may have their own wounds and struggles. This perspective doesn't excuse their behavior, but it can help you see the situation more clearly and release some of the emotional charge it holds. There is a profound healing power in forgiveness. When you let go of resentment, you create space for new emotions and experiences. You open the door to joy, peace, and a deeper connection with yourself and others. Holding on to anger and bitterness creates a barrier between you and the world around you. It keeps you trapped in the past, unable to fully engage with the present or envision a positive future. Forgiveness dissolves that barrier. It allows you to move forward with an open heart and a clear mind, unburdened by the weight of past hurts. Forgiving someone is also an act of self-compassion. It is a recognition that you deserve peace and freedom from the emotional pain you have been carrying. It is a way of honoring yourself and your capacity for healing. When you forgive, you are not doing it for the person who hurt you, you are doing it for yourself. You are choosing to prioritize your own well-being and to create a life that is not defined by past wounds. In many ways, forgiveness is an act of strength. It takes courage to face the pain, to confront the hurt, and to choose to let it go. It requires a level of emotional maturity and self-awareness that not everyone is willing to cultivate. But those who do embark on the journey of forgiveness often find that it transforms them in profound ways. They become more resilient, more compassionate, and more connected to their own inner strength. They discover that forgiveness is not about weakness or passivity, it is about taking control of your own emotional landscape and choosing peace over pain. Healing from hurt is a process that demands time, patience, and self-compassion. When someone causes you pain, the immediate emotional response might be overwhelming. Anger, sadness, betrayal, and confusion often come rushing in, leaving you feeling raw and vulnerable. It's tempting to want to move on quickly, to push those feelings aside or pretend they don't exist. However, true healing requires that you honor your emotions, allowing yourself to feel them fully and without judgment. This acknowledgement is not a sign of weakness, but an essential step in the healing journey. It is through facing your pain that you begin to understand it and ultimately to release it. Many people fear that if they allow themselves to feel their pain, it will consume them. They worry that they will become trapped in a cycle of negativity, unable to escape. In reality, suppressing your emotions often prolongs the healing process. When you push your feelings down or try to ignore them, they don't simply disappear. Instead, they fester beneath the surface, influencing your thoughts, behaviors, and relationships in ways you might not even realize. Unaddressed pain has a way of resurfacing, often at the most unexpected times and in ways that can be destructive. By acknowledging and sitting with your emotions, you give yourself the opportunity to process and release them in a healthy way. Healing is not a linear process. There will be days when you feel strong and resilient, and others when the pain feels fresh and overwhelming. This ebb and flow is natural. It's important to be patient with yourself and to recognize that healing takes time. There's no set timeline for when you should be over something. Each person's journey is unique, and comparing your progress to someone else's only adds unnecessary pressure. Give yourself permission to heal at your own pace. Celebrate the small victories and be gentle with yourself on the difficult days. Self-compassion is a critical component of the healing process. It's easy to fall into patterns of self-blame or to criticize yourself for feeling hurt or vulnerable. You might find yourself thinking, I should be over this by now, or why am I letting this affect me so much? These thoughts only add to your pain. Instead, treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a close friend. Acknowledge that it's okay to feel hurt and that your emotions are valid. Remind yourself that healing is a process, and it's one that requires nurturing and care. One of the most powerful tools in the healing process is self-reflection. Take the time to explore your emotions and the impact of the hurt you experienced. Journaling can be an effective way to process your feelings and gain insight into your emotional landscape. Writing down your thoughts and emotions allows you to express them in a safe and private space. It also helps you to identify patterns and triggers, providing a deeper understanding of yourself and your reactions. Through this self-reflection, you can begin to make sense of your experience and identify the lessons it holds. Forgiveness often plays a role in healing, though it's important to recognize that forgiveness is a personal choice and not a requirement. Forgiving someone who hurt you doesn't mean you condone their actions or forget what happened. It means that you are choosing to release the hold that the hurt has on you. Forgiveness is more about your own peace than about the other person. It's a way of freeing yourself from the burden of anger and resentment, allowing you to move forward with a lighter heart. However, forgiveness is a process in itself, and it's okay if you're not ready for it right away. Allow yourself the time and space to reach that point naturally. Surrounding yourself with supportive people can also aid in the healing process. Talking to trusted friends or family members about your feelings can provide comfort and perspective. Sometimes simply knowing that you're not alone in your pain can be incredibly healing. Support doesn't always have to come in the form of advice or solutions. Often, the most powerful support comes from someone who is willing to listen and hold space for you. If the hurt you've experienced is particularly deep or complex, seeking the guidance of a therapist or counselor can be beneficial. A professional can help you navigate your emotions and develop healthy coping strategies. Engaging in self-care activities is another essential aspect of healing. Taking care of your physical, emotional, and mental well-being can help you rebuild a sense of balance and stability. This might involve simple activities like going for a walk, practicing meditation, or engaging in a hobby you enjoy. Self-care is not a luxury, it's a necessity, especially when you're healing from emotional pain. These activities provide moments of peace and joy, reminding you that there is more to life than the hurt you've experienced. Healing also involves reconnecting with yourself and rediscovering your sense of worth. When someone hurts you, it can shake your self-esteem and make you question your value. Take the time to remind yourself of your strengths and accomplishments. Engage in activities that bring you joy and fulfillment. Set small, achievable goals and celebrate your progress. As you rebuild your sense of self-worth, you'll find that the hurt begins to lose its power over you. Ultimately, healing is about reclaiming your sense of agency and creating a new narrative for your life. The pain you experienced is a part of your story, but it doesn't have to define you. You have the power to choose how you respond to it and what you take from it. Each step you take toward healing is an act of courage and self-love. It's a declaration that you are more than the hurt you've endured and that you are committed to creating a life filled with peace, resilience, and hope. Setting healthy boundaries is one of the most essential steps in protecting yourself after someone hurts you. Boundaries are the invisible lines we draw to safeguard our emotional, mental, and physical well-being. They define what is acceptable and what is not in our interactions with others. When someone crosses those lines and causes you pain, establishing or reinforcing boundaries becomes crucial. This process is not about building walls to shut people out, but creating a framework that ensures you are treated with respect and dignity. It is an act of self-care and self-respect that communicates to others and to yourself that you value your well-being. After experiencing hurt, it's common to feel vulnerable and uncertain about how to protect yourself from further harm. You might question whether setting boundaries is selfish or fear that doing so will push people away. In reality, boundaries are a sign of strength and self-awareness. They are not about punishing the person who hurt you, but about ensuring that your needs and limits are acknowledged and respected. By setting boundaries, you take control of your emotional space, making it clear that you will not tolerate behaviors that cause you harm. Establishing boundaries starts with self-reflection. Take the time to understand what you need to feel safe and respected. Reflect on the situation that caused you pain and identify the specific behaviors or actions that crossed your boundaries. Were your emotional needs dismissed? Did someone betray your trust? Understanding these elements helps you articulate your boundaries more clearly. For example, if someone frequently belittles your opinions, your boundary might be that you will no longer engage in conversations where you feel disrespected. If someone violated your trust, your boundary might involve limiting the personal information you share with them in the future. Communicating your boundaries is a vital part of this process. It requires honesty and clarity. You need to express your needs directly and assertively, without apologizing or justifying yourself. This can be challenging, especially if you fear conflict or are accustomed to prioritizing others' needs over your own. However, clear communication is essential. You might say something like, "I felt hurt when you spoke to me that way. I need you to address me with respect if we are going to continue this relationship." The key is to be firm but respectful, focusing on your feelings and needs rather than blaming or accusing the other person. It's important to remember that setting boundaries is not about controlling others' behavior, but about managing your response to it. You cannot force someone to change, but you can decide how you will respond if they continue to cross your boundaries. This might involve limiting your interactions with them, ending conversations when they become disrespectful, or even distancing yourself from the relationship if necessary. These actions are not about being punitive, but about protecting your well-being. You have the right to remove yourself from situations or relationships that cause you harm. Enforcing boundaries can be difficult, especially if the person who hurt you is someone you care about or if you are accustomed to putting others' needs before your own. There might be times when you feel guilty or question whether you are being too harsh. However, it's important to recognize that enforcing boundaries is an act of self-respect. It sends a clear message that you value yourself and will not tolerate being treated poorly. Over time, as you consistently uphold your boundaries, others will learn to respect them, and you will cultivate healthier, more balanced relationships. One of the challenges of setting boundaries is dealing with the reactions of others. Some people may not respond well, especially if they are used to you accommodating their needs without question. They might try to guilt you, dismiss your feelings, or even become angry. This reaction is not a reflection of your worth or the validity of your boundaries. It is a reflection of their discomfort with the new dynamic. Stay firm in your commitment to yourself. Remember that you are not responsible for their reactions. You are responsible for your well-being. Boundaries also apply to your internal world. It's not just about setting limits with others, but also with yourself. This might involve recognizing and challenging negative self-talk, refusing to dwell on past hurts, or setting limits on how much mental energy you give to certain situations. For example, if you find yourself replaying the hurtful event over and over, you might set a boundary with yourself to focus on the present moment instead. Practicing mindfulness and self-compassion can help you maintain these internal boundaries and prevent you from getting caught in cycles of rumination and self-blame. Another important aspect of setting boundaries is recognizing that they are not static. As you grow and change, your boundaries may need to be adjusted. Life experiences, new relationships, and personal growth can all influence what you need to feel safe and respected. Be open to reassessing your boundaries and making changes as needed. This flexibility ensures that your boundaries continue to serve your well-being effectively. Setting healthy boundaries is ultimately an act of empowerment. It allows you to take control of your emotional landscape and create a life where you feel valued and respected. It is a declaration that you will not allow others' actions to dictate your sense of worth or well-being. By establishing and enforcing boundaries, you create a foundation for healthier, more fulfilling relationships and a deeper sense of self-respect. This process takes courage and practice, but the rewards are profound. You are not only protecting yourself from further harm, but also creating space for healing, growth, and authentic connection. Learning from hurtful experiences is a powerful path to growth and resilience. When someone causes us pain, it's natural to feel overwhelmed by emotions like anger, sadness, or betrayal. These feelings can consume us, making it difficult to see beyond the immediate hurt. However, within every painful experience lies an opportunity for learning and self-discovery. By approaching these moments with an open heart and mind, we can uncover valuable lessons that guide us toward personal growth, greater emotional strength, and deeper understanding of ourselves and others. The first step in learning from a hurtful experience is acknowledging the pain and allowing yourself to feel it. It's tempting to suppress or deny your emotions, especially if they are intense or uncomfortable. However, true growth begins with honest self-reflection. Sit with your feelings and explore them without judgment. What emotions are you experiencing? What triggered these feelings? By identifying and naming your emotions, you create a foundation for understanding the impact of the experience. This awareness is crucial because it helps you move beyond a reactive state and into a more reflective, proactive mindset. Once you have acknowledged your emotions, it's important to shift your focus from the person who hurt you to the lessons you can take from the situation. It's easy to get caught up in blaming others or dwelling on their actions, but this often leaves us feeling powerless and stuck. Instead, ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? How can this help me grow? This shift in perspective empowers you to reclaim control over your narrative. It transforms the hurt from something that happened to you into something that can work for you. Every experience, no matter how painful, holds the potential to teach us something valuable about ourselves, our boundaries, and our relationships. One of the most significant lessons we can learn from hurtful experiences is about our own patterns and behaviors. Reflect on the role you played in the situation. This is not about blaming yourself, but about taking responsibility for your own growth. Were there red flags you ignored? Did you compromise your boundaries or values? Sometimes painful experiences highlight areas where we need to strengthen our self-awareness or assertiveness. By recognizing these patterns, we can make conscious choices to change them in the future. This self-awareness is a powerful tool for personal development. It allows us to approach future relationships and situations with greater clarity and confidence. Hurtful experiences also teach us about the importance of boundaries. When someone crosses a boundary and causes us pain, it often reveals where we need to set clearer limits. Boundaries are essential for healthy relationships, but they require us to first understand our own needs and values. Reflect on what boundaries were violated and why. How can you communicate and enforce these boundaries more effectively moving forward? By learning to set and maintain healthy boundaries, you protect yourself from future harm and create a foundation for more respectful, balanced relationships. This process of boundary setting is not just about others, it's also about honoring and respecting yourself. Another important lesson that often emerges from hurtful experiences is the need for self-compassion. It's easy to fall into patterns of self-criticism or blame, especially when we are hurt. We might think, I should have known better, or why did I let this happen? These thoughts only add to our pain. Instead, practice self-compassion by treating yourself with kindness and understanding. Remind yourself that everyone makes mistakes and experiences hurt. What matters is how you respond and what you learn. Self-compassion allows you to heal and grow from the experience rather than being trapped by it. It fosters resilience, helping you navigate future challenges with greater strength and grace. Hurtful experiences can also teach us about the complexity of human behavior and the importance of empathy. It's natural to see the person who hurt us as the villain and ourselves as the victim. While it's important to acknowledge the harm done, it can also be helpful to consider the broader context. What might have motivated their behavior? This doesn't excuse their actions, but it can provide a more nuanced perspective. Developing empathy doesn't mean you have to reconcile or condone their behavior. It means recognizing the humanity in others and understanding that people's actions often stem from their own pain or struggles. This perspective can be freeing, as it helps you release the burden of resentment and anger. Additionally, hurtful experiences can highlight the importance of self-reliance and inner strength. When someone lets you down or causes you pain, it's an opportunity to reconnect with your own resilience. You are stronger than you realize, and every challenge you overcome reinforces that strength. Reflect on the ways you have coped with past difficulties and the resources you have within you. By focusing on your inner strength, you build confidence in your ability to navigate future challenges. This resilience becomes a source of empowerment, reminding you that you are not defined by the hurt you have experienced. Finally, learning from hurtful experiences involves integrating the lessons into your life moving forward. Reflect on how you can apply what you've learned to future situations and relationships. Perhaps you've realized the importance of trusting your intuition, setting clearer boundaries, or practicing self-compassion. Use these insights to make intentional choices that align with your values and well-being. Each experience, no matter how painful, becomes a building block for a stronger, wiser version of yourself. Ultimately, learning from hurtful experiences transforms pain into growth. It allows you to move beyond the hurt and into a place of greater self-awareness, resilience, and empathy. The process is not easy. It requires courage, honesty, and a willingness to face difficult emotions. But the rewards are profound. You emerge from the experience not as a victim, but as a learner, someone who has turned adversity into an opportunity for growth and healing. This journey of learning and self-discovery is one of the most powerful ways to honor your pain and transform it into a source of strength and wisdom.